Shalom, blessings, greetings to everyone and everyone that is here. I have another message for you guys, and um, I'm going to talk on this in multiple different segments. I hope that it is something that you guys can follow and apply. I hope that it provokes thought and execute and cause change. Um, so the topic at hand today is social media. All right. Now, most people are going to dread what I'm going to say because of the fact that they know it applies to themselves. And I say this: do not let me be an enemy because I speak the truth, right? So, and I also want to say this in James 4:17. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and do it not, to him it is sin, right? How does that pertain on to social media? Let me build up on it, precept upon precept, line upon line, and hear the whole argument before you jump to conclusions, right? So, social media, what I have to say about it. Social media itself is not bad, but the way that the world allows social media to be used is bad. And I want to bring this awareness to y'all, right? The good people. And for that, I want to go to the scripture too to back that up. And 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. We're not to be ignorant of the ways of this world and how they try to coerce the righteous or the people who have faith, or the ones who are weak in faith, or the ones who are seeking Yah. Any person who's in this path or in this walk at any stage in it, we are not to be ignorant. Excuse me. Ignorance is not bliss. In a lot of the ways, ignorance can hurt you, right? So, let's get into social media. Let's really dive into it, right? Social media itself, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, those are the main big ones, but there's also other ones like Kick and so on and so forth, right? TikTok, right? Which I guess you could put TikTok on a little bit closer to the media side of things, not just social, but it's a very social interaction. So what's the issue with it? What's the problem with it? Social media is a tool that is used to change the masses, right? Recently, I was on Newbury's channel and I spoke about TikTok and how there's been some challenges out on TikTok that has been trying to coerce the youth to vandalize schools, and even got to the point where there was allegedly a challenge out there to slap teachers or to violate or to assault teachers, right? Now, what's concerning about this is not just the material out there, but the people that took to it, right? And that's just one instance of social media being evil, or it's being used for evil causes, right? Does social media have its good? Yes, but that's not entirely what this video is about. This is to warn those who are unaware or of what's happening, and how social media is being used currently today to let me slow down. How social media is being currently used today to harm and to deceive the anointed, right? So let's dive into it, because a lot of us, we know it, but we don't really know it. We don't really sit down and meditate on it and think about it. So social media, Instagram, Facebook, are both widely known for promoting insecurities in young women and teenage girls, right? I would even say to women as a whole, for social media, a lot of people get their standards and they see snapshots of life that is not productive or even achievable in a lot of things. There's a lot of editing, Photoshop, or video or slash photo sorcery, a lot of manipulation, right? It's not the truth. It's not what it actually appears to be. Even same thing on YouTube, right? I'm not just saying YouTube or trying to exclude YouTube because of the fact that that's a platform I'm using. There's a lot of wicked things that goes on YouTube. Look at Little Nas X and how he was was on here it was promoted as something good for the children, like YouTube videos and what have you. And he was on what was it? Like it was some kid's show. I can't think of it right now. But then eventually he got to a place that he was trying to do this. What was it? He was doing a show, and it was for like a fundraiser or something. And he was practically nude, and everyone else was nude, right? But this reportedly or allegedly was there was no age restrictions on this, right? So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, social media, and media alone has been being used to persuade and to change the mind, right? And I want to go to another scripture real quick. I want to speak about how important it is for us to guard our hearts and guard our minds and what that really means, right? So we're going to go to Proverbs 23:7. It says, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee." Right? So whatever desires your heart has, that's what you are. Whatever, that's what you're chasing after. That's what you are. We're also told. Let me get that one real quick. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Right. So, social media is aimed generally at the youth. There's no illusion. That's very evident. It's very clear. Right. But social media doesn't have any bearings. Right. You can go scroll, and any person can find twerking, any person can find profanity and rap or what have you. Any person could find a whole bunch of lasciviousness, a whole bunch of wickedness present on social media. And that is just the tip of the iceberg of social media. We're not even getting into the psychological effects, like how I mentioned about women's insecurities, but I would even say for men as well, and how it affects the brain, and how this fake perceived acceptance that humans get, which allows a dopamine, which is like a pleasure center in the brain. Well, it's a hormone that allows pleasure to be in the brain, and it's perceived as something that happens when you eat good food, or and during other pleasurable activities. It's one of those things that's released. That hormone is released when you're having fun, right? So, with the dopamine being triggering, it's the same thing that's triggered when drinking, right? So we put age restrictions on drinking, right? It's now to 21, and even then, actually, we probably should push it back further than that because of how it could affect the brain, right? Am I saying everyone should wait until 25 when their brain is completely developed? I'm just saying to be careful. I'm saying to be aware, to not be ignorant, right? If you're playing with fire, you should know how to tame the fire, right? And I don't condone it in the aspect, and I'm not talking about alcohol. I'm talking about playing with fire. Hold up, let me make sure you guys are catching me. But you should be aware, right? That's a whole message. It's to be aware of Satan's devices. And let me get this next scripture I wanted to say, right? It's talking about what we should be focusing on, right? And this is Philippians 4:8. It says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true," which I just said on social media, there's a lot of deceiving, right? A lot of trickery. "Whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things," right? There's a lot of sexual immorality on social media, right? And the way that this has affected the youth, the adolescents, and young adults, my generation, a generation before me, and to come after me is so profound that it's kind of hard to unwrap everything. Let's think about it, right? At one point in time, a person decided whether something was cool or not based upon the people around them, around the tangible people that can teach them, they can talk, have an interaction with, and it can be had, right? They actually had real physical people around you. But social media is showing you that, hey, there's always going to be someone to support you, whether it's right or wrong, right? And there's the support system. Social media has given the illusion of being connected with people afar, right? Can it connect some people? Yes. But to the masses, it's just, oh, well, I got 1,000 people, or I got 1,000,000 people, or I got 100,000 people, or I got 100 people who follow me and support me, right? But these people are behind a screen, and if we're aware of anyone, a lot of the people that say or do things in front of a screen aren't like that in reality, right? There are some, but that's not the truth. That's not tangible, right? Just like for me, for instance, a lot of you can say, "Oh, he's a righteous brother," but besides what you see on the camera, you don't know me. None of you have had a one-on-one conversation with me. I mean, you can only judge me from the fruits that I decide to show, right? And it's like the ability to have a rotten apple on one side, you can see that it has its pus and it's starting to decay, but on the other side, it looks gorgeous, right? It's like this, my body, right? I'm physically strong, but mentally I'm weak, right? And I'll cave and crumble at opposition, right? It's not showing you the full truth. It's only showing you half truths, and it's dangerous, right? Now, am I saying, well, I can't trust anything I see on the internet? False. Can't say that. But what I'm saying is to be wary, to understand that everyone on social media does not have your best interest, and that social media itself is a tool, right? Let's look at some examples of tools, right? We have a car. It's a vehicle. It helps us get to point A and B. It's typically safe travel. It's a lot safer travel than beforehand when we had horses, right? It's faster than carriages, right? But there's thousands of deaths in car accidents all the time, right? There's a lot of people get hurt during car accidents, right? Same thing with using a hammer and someone who's a carpenter, right? And hammering in nails. It's a tool. It's helpful in doing what its job is, but it can also harm you. It can also hurt you. Same thing with food, and so on and so on, right? If things are not used properly, they can harm you. They can hurt you, especially if you're ignorant of how it can harm you. Let's see, real quick. And here's another issue. We're called to abstain from idols. Social media has made it so that we literally make engraven images and idols. A lot of people worship celebrities and worship these people who have 1,000 followers with a verified check mark on Instagram or so forth and so forth, right? And for that, I just want to go look at Acts 15 and 20, and it says, "But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols, and from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood." Once again, that they abstain from pollutions of idols. I want to hone in on that. A lot of us be looking and be like, wow, that man is really talented in this and really talented in that. Or he looks really nice, or she looks really nice, or X, Y, and Z. I want to follow them. I want to subscribe to them. Who are you giving your energy to? And I'm not saying that you can't follow people. Like, don't be ignorant. Don't try to take this out of context. Make sure that you're righteously dividing what I'm saying, right? And to bring clearer insight onto that, right? Know this: that anyone you find or follow on the internet could potentially be exactly who they show themselves to be. But know this, they're all human. Everyone's human. So everyone has some type of flaw, right? Some things that they're fighting with. And do not put them on a pedestal that's unreachable or unimaginable, right? They bathe themselves, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you and I, right? And we don't keep those things in the forefront. We don't keep those things in remembrance. We will cause them to be idols unto ourselves. We will think that these people can do no wrong. And that's just frankly not the truth. And social media will paint this picture that that's possible. And not possible that I'm not saying people can't live righteous. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of the world, a lot of the people today just don't live that life. There's a lot of internet gangsters, right, that say they will do this and do that. But in real life, they will probably look at you down like this and be like, "Hey man, have ever tested or right?" And am I calling anyone to call these people out? Do it at your own risk, right? Do it with your own wisdom. But for those who value any information that I have to bring or anything that I have to say, right? All praises to the Most High. But be careful, be wary of who you're following. Be wary of these idols that is put in front of you. Because that's what they are. That's what a lot of people try to make them to be. They try to worship them, or they try to exalt them to a level unattainable. And there's nothing wrong with giving respects where respects are due. But a lot of us will take it further than that. A lot of us truly do. And remember that there's a light and a dark side. And that light can't fellowship with darkness. Right? Some people will follow someone for like 5, 10, 20 years. And then they found out that they're not who they say they were, or that their principles have changed, and still say that person can do no wrong. And that's folly. That's stupid. That is simply stupid. You're falling right into the trap. Satan doesn't want, or matter of fact, Satan doesn't necessarily need you to worship him outwardly, right? He doesn't necessarily need you to fall down to him, because he's made up plenty of idols, made up plenty of gods, that any god besides the Most High is serving him, right? And a lot of us are not aware that we make these idols, right? A lot of us are so engulfed in this world and the things that's put in front of us that we never take a step back to meditate on the things that are happening, right? A lot of us will judge and go with the crowd. There's a thing called group thinking, right? Where there was a study done, and it was 4 actors and 1 regular participant, right? And the test was very simple. It was to determine the difference between 3 sticks, and one was the longest one was short, and one was medium, and constantly rearranged them and did multiple goes, right? So the actors were told to never choose the big one or the biggest one, and that's what their objective was, right? But all the participants were told to choose the biggest one. It was very obvious. It was not like there was trickery. It's not like it was within centimeters, but about 3, 4, 5 inches, very noticeable. And what happened during that study, and this was repeated multiple times, was that when the person noticed that everyone else was not choosing the biggest one, they second guessed their own thoughts, their own intentions, what they knew right and wrong, and aligned themselves to the actors, right? And this test was done multiple times, tested, right? This is why the righteous are not told to fellowship with the scoffers, with the scorners, with the unwicked, right? This is why it says light and dark cannot fellowship, right? Because a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is everyone, it could have been that they chose from a certain demographic, or from that set of time, and things could be different now, but that principle that evil or bad or wrong corrupts good, It's just simple, right? And if you don't have the spiritual, mental, and physical fortitude, you will fall into the fold. A lot of people that claim to be righteous or walk in a righteous light, I'm not saying that you can't walk with the holy, walk with the Most High. We all know that we could be easily subjected to sin or temptation and fall weak to that because of what we surround ourselves with, our environments that we're in. And we also have to remember what our mind is being put into. What are we following? What are we listening to? These things all have effects. We were told to focus on things that are pure, on things that are good, things that are lovely, things that are righteous, right? Why do you think that that was a charge, right? Why do you think that that was something that was said? That's to protect our minds, to protect our hearts, right? And if we don't have the discernment to see through some of it, right, then I would say to take a fast from it. Call out to the Abba for it. Remember that every man can talk to Christ. And if you're a woman, right, pray, supplicate, right? Go to someone that's trusted, men and women, right? It says when 2 or 3 is together, Christ is amidst, right? And we need to be willing to come out of the world, right? Am I telling you that there is no good that can come from social media? No, I'm just telling you to use it wisely. I'm telling you to be careful. I'm telling you to be as wise as a dove. No, as wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. That no wrong can be called against you, right? And I know that a lot of people struggle with it. Me myself, I just did a 7-day fast from social media. I found things were off. I was trying to please and appease too many around me. I wasn't staying true to myself. I know, and that's because you have too many thoughts coming in, right? You're watching one thing, then another thing, and another thing, and another thing, right? You get into that consumption, right? As I told you in the previous video, there's healthy consumption, but there's also poor production, right? But I wasn't consuming things that was edifying, right? Some of them was good laughs, right? And some of it seems harmless, but as you get into that mentality, you start to slowly indoctrinate yourself with the world, even if you know it's wrong, right? By you constantly exposing yourself, never taking the time to step back, right? You start to fall susceptible. You start to fall in the fold. You be like, well, they could do it, I could do it. You start to become dim and dull to the effects of sin or the effects of temptation, right? This is why we see Christ, he fasted for 40 days. We see Moses took a time when he was away 40 days, right? And we have people throughout the Bible who seek the Most High, devote time to seeking the Most High, right? Not being clouded with all these other thoughts. How can you know the Most High's voice if you have 1,000 voices talking to you every day, right? 1,000 different thoughts running through your head all the day, every day. There's no stillness, no peace within you, right? So I just thought that that was something to put on your mind, right? Something that could be edifying. That social media is something to handle carefully. Shalom and peace.